Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Monday, February 24th meeting of the Lewis County Board of County Commissioners. We do have a quorum. All three members are present. And we'll begin with the flag salute with the ailing Commissioner Bill Schulte. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't say that lightly. Commissioner Schulte's had some health issues the past week, as have I, colds and Edna also. So we're kind of all three ailing a little bit, but we're getting over it, we hope.
Yes, we are.
So, a motion to...
That we approve the minutes of February 10th, 2014.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. Are there any deletions, additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, this morning we have employee recognition. We're going to do this kind of a little bit differently, I think. I don't know. We're all going to come down there. Bill, I didn't get to go over this with you, but we're going to come down there and we'll read these off from down there rather than come back and forth. That's what happens when you get older. Okay, the recognition that we have this morning, first of all, is for the fourth quarter employee of the quarter. The first nominee is Doyle Sanford. Doyle has been filling the role of the building official since Fred has been gone. He stepped in to fill that position and assuming the job duties related to that position. Now, in addition to reviewing building permits, he's managing the operations and activities of the Lewis County Building Division. So Doyle Sanford is our first nominee for employee of the quarter. Second nominee is Sue Kennedy. Recent changes in the Washington Administrative Code resulted in the Washington State Department of Health reducing regulatory oversight on certain public water systems from the state level, beginning in January 2014. To best protect the public health in Lewis County, the local Board of Health directed Lewis County Public Health and Social Services staff to draft local rules pertaining to Group B water systems in the county. Our directive was to maintain a level of oversight to protect public health, yet avoid being over-regulatory of Group B water systems. With recent success of the Board of Health Advisory Committee, Sue recommended formation of a standalone committee specifically for development of local oversight of Group B systems. Early in 2013, Sue formed a committee consisting of stakeholders within the drinking water profession. The committee consisted of water system owners and operators, system management professionals, engineers, realtors, and other regulatory authorities. For nearly 10 months, Sue led the committee through various stages developing proposed regulation. So at this time, I'd like to have Doyle and Sue come forward. Just wait. Congratulations on your nominations for fourth quarter employee of the quarter, and we appreciate the work that you do in all fields and the extra effort that you put forth. The employee selected by the PAC for the fourth quarter employee of the quarter is Doyle Sanford.
You did a super job on it. Thank you. A lot of positive comments from the community.
Never mind, shake your hand up.
There you go.
You got to be in
No
the
one
picture.
hiding my hips, though.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have above and beyond awards, both for the fourth quarter of 2013 and for the year. The nominees are, first of all, Deputy Tim English and Deputy Brady Taylor. On November 12, 2013, Deputy English and Deputy Taylor responded to a vehicle over the embankment call of Elk Creek Road. There was very limited information available, only that a vehicle had gone over an embankment and that there were possibly multiple patients. Deputy English and Deputy Taylor arrived on the scene, and they quickly assessed that the vehicle was over a steep, rugged embankment and immediate response was required. Without hesitation, Deputy English and Taylor risked their own safety by descending over 1,000 feet of rugged, hilly terrain to reach the vehicle and its occupants. Deputies English and Taylor coordinated fire and aid in the recovery of the driver, who was still responsive, but critically injured. Due to limited resources, Deputy English acted as incident commander, directing fire, aid, and law enforcement personnel. Deputy English and Deputy Taylor are able to maintain composure and professionalism during this crisis situation. The other nominees for the quarter are Terry Bryant and Jonna Martin. These two employees went above their normal duties in their effort to support, coordinate, and provide counsel to 90-plus witnesses during a 6-week double murder trial. This case involved experts, law enforcement, family members, former friends of the defendants, people from all walks of life and professions. These two ladies did anything requested of them without hesitation. They worked extra hours, changed their hours to accommodate the trial schedule, provided transportation if needed, picked up lunch, and provided emotional support. Jonna coordinated the daily efforts in the courtroom and witness waiting room. She made sure that the witnesses knew when they were scheduled and made sure they had water, snacks, or reading material while they waited. Terry worked daily to ensure that all witnesses were contacted the day before and knew what time they were scheduled to be in court. Many days did not go as planned, and schedules had to be adjusted accordingly. Terry always took care of this before she went home, made sure that she made personal contact with each one. So would those 4 people please come forward? What?
We got one of the 4 here.
One of the 4 here? Well, since you're the one. So, Tim, we appreciate your efforts, and pass on to Brady. And the court must be busy this morning, so they couldn't get here. So, this is your certificate, and thank you for your efforts. Thank you for doing what you did. Stay here. I feel like I've neglected something, but I don't know what it is yet. It'll come to me.
Did you help carry those? They're not here, so we'll just keep those.
We didn't do this because they aren't here, but John Martin and Terry Bryant were the ones who received the Employee Above and Beyond Award for the quarter. So if we ever get the courts to participate, we'll get in that. Final recognition we have this morning is for the Above and Beyond for the year. And it gives me a great deal of pride to award this. On March 22nd, 2013, the Area 7 Road Shop suffered a catastrophic fire, destroying the shop and equipment inside. David was acting supervisor during this period. He not only assisted in saving several pieces of rolling stock, but assisted firefighters and investigators in controlling the blaze and determining the origins of the fire that night and the next day by moving debris in a manner that allowed firefighters to reach hot spots and still allow investigators to locate each piece to determine fire origins. David then worked with facilities, public works, and PUD to ensure a temporary office was located and installed, trenching for temporary power, water, and other needs. He got the needed work done in a timely, professional manner and was willing to stay late to make sure things were done. This willingness to go the extra mile was instrumental in getting temporary facilities ready in the shortest time. He did these extra duties in addition to his acting supervisor and his regular duties. So for that, we are awarding Dave Haviland Tater, of Area 7 Shop, Employee above and beyond for the year.
Congratulations, thanks.
I will add that this was no small effort on his part doing the work that he did, so it's really appreciated. That. Smile, Tater.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for coming in. That's I know that's an effort for you guys out there to get down here. So the last thing we want to award this morning is this doesn't happen very often, but we have one employee who has gone the route of getting a certified public official certificate, an important position. Takes some time and effort to do so. So we want to recognize Donna Olson for achieving her certified public official position. Come on up. Hold that up. Hold it up. Square. You're a certified public official, you got to be able to do things straight now.
That wasn't part of the curriculum.
Thank you all.
What? Nobody else knows.
Yeah.
Okay,
I said
okay. What, catch it? Okay,
it's on the plaque.
oops.
You know what you should have done? Is come over and do this one and do this one.
Half our audience.
You're missing the best part of the meeting. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, I need to. I neglected to mention public comment. There was no one signed up for public comment, so I will open that to the floor if there's anybody who wants to make public comment at this time. Hearing none, we'll proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the notice agenda, one item, resolution number 14, tax 059.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to approve the notice agenda. Is there any questions, comments, additions, deletions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
You want her to talk?
Yep.
Good morning,
Oops, sorry,
Commissioners.
Becky.
No?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
We've already voted for it. But
Oh, I can go sit down. I'm good.
explain it anyway. Sorry. Got my cart before my horse again.
Becky Sisson, Budget Fiscal Services, speaking to item number 1, Resolution 14-059. This is a notice of public hearing for the first 2014 budget amendment. Notice of the public hearing will be published in the East County Journal on February 26th and March 5th. The hearing will be held on March 10th. The total noticed amounts are a revenue increase of $309,373, an expenditure increase of $952,108, and a use of fund balance of $642,735. Questions?
Fund balance, which fund balances are we using, Becky?
Fund balance has previously received revenue.
And they're from which departments?
Several. There's current expense for the capital funds, doing some capital projects. Also for Fund 110, we're increasing, using 99,000 there.
Okay.
And some others, risk is 150,000.
Okay, we've already passed that resolution, so we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I move that we pull item number 10, Resolution 14-068, and vote on it separately.
Done? Would you make a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda?
I move that we approve Resolution 2 through 9, yes, and that's 14-060 to 14-067, and then numbers 11 through 18, which is 14-069 to 14-076.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item number 10, resolution number 14-068 for further discussion. The approval of warrants is item number 2. This week we have one special purpose warrant in the amount of $7. We have 416 regular warrants in the amount of $1,184,308.46 for a total of $1,184,315.46. In addition, there are 243 payroll warrants in the amount of $219,790.
Good morning, Lee Napier, Director of Community Development, speaking to consent item number 3, Resolution 14-061. The resolution before the Commissioners today relates to an annexation. The project name on this is the Long Road Annexation. It was an annexation proposal submitted by the City of Centralia. And this proposal has been deemed complete, and the notice of intent has been circulated by the Boundary Review Board's chief clerk on January 14th. Now, once this process is in motion, an affected jurisdiction may invoke the review in the jurisdiction of the Boundary Review Board. And it appears as though the City of Centralia's proposal does not achieve the objectives that a Boundary Review Board would meet, so we're asking that the board consider invoking the jurisdiction, and which means then the Boundary Review Board will review this application. If jurisdiction is not invoked, it will just move forward without any review. Any questions? Thank you.
Just a comment that the county held a meeting with the City of Centralia, and the varied residents in this area were invited to attend. And it was after that meeting that we decided to move forward.
That's correct, yes.
Good morning, Commissioners and staff. Ross McDowell, Lewis County Sheriff's Office Division of Emergency Management Deputy Director, and I'll be speaking on behalf of Resolution number 14-062, which is the appointment of new members to the Lewis County's 2014 Local Emergency Planning Committee, also known as the LEPC. The Lewis County Emergency Planning Committee, the LEPC members, are appointed by you, the Board of County Commissioners. The mission of the LEPC is to facilitate emergency preparedness issues pertaining to the SARA Title III hazardous material and related public safety matters. Some of these are some of the following duties of that committee. They will facilitate hazardous material as related to public safety preparedness efforts, including planning, training, exercise, and mitigation measures. Preparing, implementing, and maintaining the Lewis County Emergency Planning Committee Hazardous Material Emergency Response Plan, also known as ESF number 10, Emergency Service Function number 10. And they also establish and maintain a system for managing the submission of the SARA Title III Tier 2 reporting system for local companies and agencies here that do store hazardous chemicals. We looked at the following positions that were open. One was for a Board of County Commissioner representative, which was Lee Gross replacing Ron Averill. Law enforcement has 3 members in law enforcement. The third member is usually from Washington State Patrol, and we
And
have
who picks that member?
the State Patrol member.
Yes.
That was up for grabs on that one. Basically, it was
I
through
just want to know whose fault it is.
whose fault it is.
Through the short straw.
We took it as who is staying here. We went through this, we went through 4 sergeants last year, and we said, give us a name that's going to stick around for a while. Doug Perdue's the sergeant that's for that.
He's got a ready source of income.
Right, there you go. He'll be replacing Lucas Brandon, who has also left. We keep losing our WSP members. They keep flying all over the place. Fire Services, we have Chief Timothy Kinder from Lewis County Fire District 6. He's a chief. He has extensive work with hazardous material from his previous job, which was up north. And he'll be replacing Kelvin Johnson, who is retired from Chehalis. Broadcast and print media was, we're having Eric Swartz from the Chronicle. He'll be replacing Brian Mitke. And then we have owner and operators of 2 facilities. One of them is Millard Refrigeration Services. We're going to have Rudy Tespic, T-E-P-S-I-C, replacing Matt Dibble. Rudy is the new general manager. And then owner facilities for Olympic Pipeline Company. This is actually a new person that was very interested in coming in since they're having quite a bit of work being done on their pipeline this year and next year, that Kelly Gustaf, G-U-S-T-A-F, would like to be a member on our committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose.
Thank you for replacing all of those. It's not easy, I know.
No, especially the WSP one. That was kind of rough to try to find somebody who was going to stick around. Yes.
Keep looking.
Keep looking, okay.
Thank you.
Morning, my name is Kevin Hansen. I'm the Lewis County Jail Administrator for Lewis County Sheriff. I'm here to speak to number 5, resolution number 14-063. This is for approval of renewed prisoner housing agreements between the Lewis County Sheriff's Office, cities of Centralia, Chehalis, Napavine, Winlock, Mossy Rock, Vader, Toledo, PL, and Morton. These are non-expiring contracts with annual review, and the need to update these contracts consists of some of them are almost 10 years old and they need to be redone. Thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Michael Strozek, Director of Central Services. Item number 6 on your agenda is resolution number 14-064. It's approving a lease agreement with the City of Morton for district court facilities out there. This is a lease agreement between Lewis County and the City of Morton for use of the Bob Lyle Memorial Building in Morton by Lewis County District Court once a month. Lewis County District Court holds court out there on the east side and currently at the Bob Lyle Building in Morton. The current lease agreement that we are running under actually expired in October 31st of 2003. In the state of Washington, if a lease agreement expires like that, there is some provisions in there. It rolls over to a month-to-month agreement, and that's where we're at on this one. However, the court has been using the building on a month-to-month basis for the court. The court and the City of Morton both desire to enter into a new agreement to formalize the use and conditions of the Bob Lyle Memorial Building through December 31st of 2015, which is the expiration of this new agreement. The financial terms of this agreement are the same as they were back in 2001, 2002, and into 2003 at $400 per month. Basically, what we have done here is when this was brought to my attention by the courts, we worked with the City of Morton, and we're memorializing a new 2-year lease agreement with them under the same terms. It's a renewal, but it's a new agreement because there is some basic terminology that's changed based on court law and stuff.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Elsey, Public Works Director, speaking to items 7, 8, and 9 on your consent agenda. Item number 7 is approving an easement to Lightspeed Networks for fiber optic cable. And this is an easement across Schaefer Park They are proposing to hook to Centralia City Lights' existing poles. This is an easement and not a franchise. It would be a franchise if it were in county right-of-way. This is across county property. Any questions? Item number 8 is proposed acquisition of additional right-of-way for Highway 603 in Winlock, Washington. As you're aware, we have a project on Highway 603 to improve that roadway between milepost 11.7 and 13.42. As a part of that process, we need to acquire additional right-of-way from approximately 20 property owners. This will give us the authority to go out and negotiate those that right-of-way.
Tim, have we already negotiated these? Or, I mean, have we talked to these landowners and stuff out there?
We have spoken with 3 of the landowners up till now, and those were landowners that we went out and we met with at our kickoff meeting. They had some specific concerns, and so for the people that had specific concerns, we went out, we met with them on site, we met with some of them on several occasions, but this is outside of that negotiation.
So you don't foresee any eminent domain in this issue at this time?
Not at this time, but I'm not sure how it will go. I don't expect it, but.
Okay.
And then item number 9 is approving a Title VI non-discrimination agreement with Washington State Department of Transportation. The Code of Federal Regulations requires that each local agency who receives federal funds has to establish a Title VI non-discrimination program. Our program was established in February 13th, 2006. Each year we have to renew this program as the chair of the Board of Commissioners changes because there's a new signatory on the program, and this is renewing that program.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Archie, we're going to item 11.
What's that, sir?
We're going to item 11. Is that the one you're coming up for?
10, 11, and 12?
11.
11.
11, because 10's been pulled for further discussion.
Oh, okay. I will adjust those. So, morning, Commissioners. Archie Smith, Lewis County Human Resources. I am here to, now, okay. Item 10
11.
11.
is now 11.
No.
No, you're still
No,
11.
we're not pulling it off the agenda.
not
We're pulling it off and discussing it separately.
Discuss it
Afterward.
and vote on it separately.
Okay, so I will, okay, thank you.
So
Now all you're doing is addressing starting at 11.
Okay, so 11 and 12.
Correct.
All right. Item 11, resolution number 14069 is approving a collective bargaining agreement with the Association of Lewis County Deputy Prosecuting Attorneys. This is a new contract that we have. It is technically it's a 23-month contract. We just finished it up and it's effective February 1st of this year. The association consists of the criminal deputy prosecuting attorneys. There's not a whole lot of change in within terms and condition. With one exception is that we did take back the criminal deputy prosecuting attorneys back to public sector for market review, and there are changes in their grade classification, where the DPA 1 has no change, a DPA 2 has moved from a grade 25 to a 26, a DPA 3 moves from a grade 28 to a 29, and DPA senior moves from a grade 31 to a grade 33. We also are changing their insurance effective February 1st from a maximum employer contribution of $865.88, that is the old 2013 rate prior to July 1st, to the new maximum employer contribution of $950 per employee per month. And then there's a one-time clothing allowance of $500 will be issued to each member of the association under the conditions they have been employed prior to February 3rd, 2014. Any questions on that contract?
Archie, this $950 a month is bringing them to par with other employees in the county.
Yes, it is. It is. With the non-represented and most of the other collective bargaining agreements excluding interest arbitration groups.
Okay.
Item number 12, resolution number 14-070, approving a collective bargaining agreement with Lewis County Deputies Guild representing the Sheriff's Office Operations Bureau. This is a contract between us and the operations or patrol deputies, as most of them are known by. This is a 2-year agreement from January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2015. There is a 2% wage adjustment for both years in the contract, so both 14 and 15. The employee health and welfare benefits remain the status quo. They are in a 95-5 split. The employer will contribute $50 per employee per month to a VIVA plan for the duration of the contract. And then there were some training reimbursement issues for new employees, so if they came on board, they would sign an agreement to pay back some of that training if they left early. There's an addition of a new shift, clarification of shift differential, modification of disciplinary procedures, and move firearms instructors out of field training into specialty incentive for calculation purposes.
Archie, could you explain what a VIVA is?
VIVA is Voluntary Employee Benefits, I think association, or I might have that last A wrong. What's that? Agreement. And what it is in the world of medical benefits, you have like health savings accounts, flexible spending accounts, and you have VIVAs. VIVAs are very similar to a health savings account where the money can be put in there, it's put in there tax deferred, and it stays in there until they can use it accordingly. They either have to be in the group, or if they leave the group, meaning that they have to be within the work group, then once they retire, they can access those monies. They cannot access the money if they're not in the group. Then it turns into more like a retirement type program. The other thing, too, that separates a VIVA from an HSA, a health savings account, is that under an HSA, it's individualized according to the IRS rules. Under the VIVA rules, under the IRS rules, it's all or nothing. So the whole group has to do it. So if the group votes to have a VIVA and they vote to have X amount of money or whatever, everybody has to do it. You don't get to opt out. And then you can also change it, and you can only change it once a year at your annual renewal, so to speak, whereas in HSA, you can contribute it, and if you want to increase your contribution to the maximum, you can do that, or you can stop your contribution.
Question?
Danette York, Director of Public Health and Social Services, speaking to items 13 through 18. Resolution 14-071 is approving a contract amendment number 6 between the Division of Behavioral Health and Recovery Services and Lewis County. This is a housekeeping item. We have had 2 amendments since that time, 7 and 8. We had failed to process this one through the BOCC because there was no financial gain or loss included in this. It was just a language change. But they cannot process 7 and 8 at the state until we do that. Number 6 here. Resolution 14-072 is appointing 2 members to the Developmental Disabilities Advisory Board. Members Catherine Rotter and Dot Workman will be appointed starting effective immediately, February 2014 through January of 2017. Resolution 14-073 is appointing the position of Lewis County Public Health and Social Services Director as a member of the Choice Regional Health Network Board of Directors. So I will actually be serving on that board, but it is the position that's being appointed to serve as representative for Lewis County. And this will be effective immediately until changed. There is no exact date. Resolution 14-074 is approving contract between Lewis County and Lewis County Shelter Program to provide assistance to individuals who are at risk of or experiencing homelessness. The contract period is January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2015. So this, in fact, this one and the next 2 are very similar. It's where we get the state contract here locally, and then we subcontract the funds out to the providers in the county. So that one is for the Lewis County Shelter Program. The next one, 14-075, is for Reliable Enterprises, same contract period.
Danette, would you read the amounts?
Oh, yes, sorry. So for the Lewis County Shelter Program, well, I would if it was on here.
You want me to?
The amount is $503,912, and that also includes the Housing and Essential Needs Fund. They're the only provider in the county that is eligible to provide those funds, so theirs is higher than the others. The second one, Resolution 14-075, is with Reliable Enterprises, and that amount is $62,545. And the final one, Resolution 14-076, is between Lewis County and the Human Response Network, and that amount is $46,612. Again, those are all homelessness dollars. Any questions?
I just want to commend you for item number 14, appointing members to the DD Advisory Council, that we're trying to make an effort in the county to recruit citizens to serve on our various committees. So you're making it happen, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the consent agenda as nominated for approval? Items 1 through 9 and items 11 through 18. I'll call for the vote at this time on those items. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve resolution, or item number 10, resolution number 14, TAC 068, approving the Lewis County Independent Citizens Commission on salary recommendations for the 2014 elected officials' salaries.
Oh, go ahead.
Does Archie want to speak first?
Edna seconded. Gary.
All right. Good morning again. Archie Smith with Lewis County Human Resources, presenting item number 10, resolution number 14-068, approving the Lewis County Independent Citizens Commission on salary recommendation for the 2014 elected salaries. Lewis County back in 2001 adopted a Independent Citizens Commission on salaries.
Which date was that?
2001.
2001.
And basically, for the last 4 or 5 years, the commission has been dormant due to economic issues. The commission was recommissioned, so to speak, back in 2013. We had our first meeting on April 13th of that year, 13. There are 10 members on that commission. Out of those members, due to the time frame and the history of the commission, 8 of the 10 members were expired, and we then started working on recruitment and replacing
Appointments were expired.
their appointments.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Clarify, please.
Yeah. It's real busy for the funeral industry.
Tough job. 8 out of 10 expire before the end of their
There was only one way to get out of the commission. And some were considering that. They wanted off, and they did. But we had 8 members that needed to be replaced of that commission. And so we started the replacement process, and it was actually quite a slow process. We have to use the auditor's office, go off of voting records, those that are registered to vote, get a list from the auditor's office and send that out.
So you're saying that process is very similar to selecting juries?
They go off of the voter registration, and then
But
we...
the process is very similar to selecting juries? You have to randomly pick a portion of that?
Yes, you do. They're randomly
salary
picked.
commission?
They are randomly picked. There is no input or influence by anybody to pick a name. I actually had people would come up and say, well, I know a good person who would be, could be on this board. I'm like, I can't go out and recruit people. It has to be on a list from the auditor's office, and that's how it works. I actually, a person that my wife knows got picked, and she called me up and thanked me, but no thanks. And so we had a tough time recruiting it. We also had to replace 2 members who accepted appointments or pre-accepted appointments, and then they dropped out. So we actually had to find 10 total members by the time we got through this. We then started having meetings in October, November, and December to discuss salary philosophy. We got the board up to speed, or the commission up to speed on the philosophy of the commission, when it was established, how it's operating, and how we have actually come to this conclusion in how we selected our comps or comparables that we use. And so that conversation went on, and then we started talking about, the commission did not feel, the comps have sort of changed from what we've done in the past, just because we would sort of try to use more of a medium household income. But over time, we have stepped away from that a little bit here and a little bit there. And so they just were not okay with what the comps were showing. If we look at our current existing comps, and they are still in effect today, those comps actually show that the elected officials, when I say elected officials, I mean the general elected officials, assessor, auditor, clerk, and treasurer, were 6.66% behind the comps that we have used historically at Lewis County. So that led into basically a lot of debate, And at the end of the meeting, in January, we had a I guess it'd be a pre-motion that would come to the hearing that we had actually in February, on February 11th, that it would be proposed to do a 5% increase for what I call the general elected officials. It excludes the judges. And then we actually had the meeting on February 11th, and there was some discussion. The commission felt that the board and other elected officials needed an increase. They have not had one for an extensive period of time, and they were floating between 3 and 5%. The end vote was that they will receive, effective January 1st, 2014, a 5% increase on salary.
Comments from the board?
Want me to go first?
I will. I can go first, and you can follow me. This was done, we've had a great deal of deliberation over this topic over the last several months, maybe even years, regarding increasing elected salaries. Generally, the last increase that was granted to elected officials was in 2008, and so that's 5 years. And in that same time period, even though employees did not receive as much of a COLA increase, most employees, in fact 60 to 70% of our employees do receive a 2.5% per year step increase on the salary schedule. And the salary commission, when they looked at that, said it was time for an increase in elected salaries as well as the other employees.
And that was a major consideration because there are the step increases that the board has not frozen over the last 5 years.
This has been I'm very conflicted about this. I know we as commissioners spend many hours in the community, and if you divided all those hours into our salary, we're not making as much as some people think, because sometimes, we're putting in sometimes 20 hours a day, actually. And then I think about recruitment. Now, when I decided to run for county commissioner, I did not look up the salary. I decided that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to be a public servant, and that's what I wanted to do. I know many of us, we don't take some of the things that we could. Like, I know I pay for my own iPhone and my own iPad. This is a generous board. We're there at auctions, supporting the community, donating more than our time and our money. I know we do that. So for me to take a raise when I'm satisfied where I am, it's a very difficult thing. And then when I think about, this is an independent board, and I always say, when you ask people to serve on a board and they make a recommendation and you go against that, some folks will, well, I even have that board. You had your mind made up elsewise, but you had them do that. And I don't want to be looking and saying to dissing that board, saying I don't appreciate what you've done. You were going to say something.
Yes, ma'am. This board is innately different than the previous board. This is an extremely vocal board that did not.
The citizens.
The Citizen Commission was an extremely. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. Apologies. Yeah, the citizen. I call it a board. It's actually the Citizens Commission. Yes, ma'am. The Citizens Commission is actually a very vocal commission, much more than the last commission, and that could be because they had literally 8+ years together, and they sort of knew that. This was a very vocal commission, and I found the meetings very entertaining in that regard. But there are two goals of the commission. The goal of the commission is to get and make the position appealing to get competent and qualified people into these executive positions. And so the elected official positions are seen as executive level positions. So the one goal is to do that. There is the other goal that the person sort of has to have, and as you stated, ma'am, this is something you want to do. It's almost like a calling to walk into elected office. So they balance or try to balance out the duty to serve along with they want competent and qualified people sitting in these positions. And one of the ways that you do that is you look at and you say, how much, are you going to pay this position? And we did look at actually other commissions. We looked, we actually had one of our members is part of the Lewis County PUD. We actually have 4 positions out of the 10 that are specific to an industry. And one of those that has to be specific is labor. So union labor type relations or positions need to be represented, or their opinions. So we actually talked about the Lewis County PUD and what their board or commission receives and all of that. We looked at City of Centralia and what do they receive. And those were things that we actually talked about. Our elected officials, generally speaking, are full-time elected officials. And I'm not talking just about the Board of County Commissioners. One of the things we talked about, and if you look in the resolution paperwork, is the coroner salary. We actually, in order to have the comps be apples to apples, we had to adjust that salary in paper because the coroner is a half-time position. But I know that he is here a lot more than 20 hours a week. That I know because... What's that?
Your mic's going.
Oh, sorry. I know that he's here a lot more than 20 hours a week. And those are things that we know that for the most part, we got a lot of elected officials that put in a lot of hours. And that is something, actually one of the citizen commission members said, I want to be able to call up my commissioner at 3 a.m. in the morning when the music is loud and they answer the phone. That is pretty much a direct quote. And I asked her because that sounded really familiar to a director's update we had probably about a little over a year and a half ago. And I'm like, oh, are you the one that made the phone call? And she said, no, but I know who did. So there is an expectation out of there of 1, professionalism, 2, qualification, and 3, availability that they want access. And that's sort of what we are looking at as part. I mean, this was all part of the discussion. Like I said, it's very lively discussion. It's very entertaining from my standpoint. I really enjoyed it, working with this commission.
What are our options with their recommendation? I mean, this is a separate, independent commission that operates really outside of our authority and comes in with a recommendation. But when they come back with a recommendation, what are our options?
Technically, under the RCW, they control your salaries. You, as the Board of County Commissioners, cannot increase under this, our resolution that we have and we've complied with since 2001. You cannot change your own salaries. The commission does that. The recommendation, per se, then is on the other elected officials that you control those salaries. You could, I guess, reject it. But I don't really know what that looks like. I know what happened the last time the board rejected the commission's recommendation was, and there was a lot of hurt feelings, and there was actually had to be some
So one of our
repair.
options is to accept it. One of it is to reject it. Is there anything else?
Outside of you and maybe giving the elected official, when I say the other elected officials, non-board county commissioners, choosing what you want to pay them, I guess you could do that. I don't see anything against the RCW. I'd want to check with the prosecutor's office before that was done. You could do something with their salaries because technically you control those salaries. You can't give yourself a raise. That, I believe, would be illegal under the law. Now,
We're not talking about giving ourselves a raise.
Right.
We're talking about the recommendation that the salary commission made, and what are our options after that?
I would say basically you could, for the Board of County Commissioners, you can accept or reject. For the independent elected officials, you could give what you felt you wanted to give. But I think there's a problem in there that now steps a little bit away from the RCW, is we have through the commission and through resolution, past resolution here, is we have tied your salary to the independent elected official salary. And I'm talking those primary 4, assessor, auditor, treasurer, clerk. So we have made this commitment that we will tie the Board of County Commissioner salaries to that. So I think if you stepped outside of those guidelines and you gave a larger increase than what was recommended.
I didn't say
I understand that. I know you're not saying that. I'm just saying I think that would be a problem. I think if you gave a lesser of an increase than what was recommended, then I think it would be more, I don't think there's any legal issue to it because you're staying with inside the construction of the
So
salary
they're
commission.
tied together, so we have. to
They are now,
approve-
yes.
If we approve the other electeds, that would automatically kick back and keep us at the approved. It seems to me that the commissioner's salary is tied to the other elected.
It is tied to the other elected
So if we give
officials.
them a raise automatically through this commission, that we get a raise.
Correct.
So the options basically are approve it as presented,
Yes.
reject it completely as presented, and have the, and possibly prepare another resolution for a lesser amount, or a greater amount if we so chose,
Yeah,
but
and I would really sit here and
Yeah,
say
no.
either you approve or you reject. I think if you want to make any changes, because I don't have legal counsel here, I'd like to run this by Glenn Carter, is to sit here and say, okay, what does this look like if you are going to change the recommendation of the board, of the commission?
The motion before the board is to approve the recommendation as presented by the Citizens Commission.
Yes.
And if we choose to not adopt that, then theoretically, we could come back for with a resolution without going to the commission, theoretically.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. That's why, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I would want to go back.
I would
and-
think if it was a lesser amount, that there wouldn't be a problem with that, but then that's.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd sit here and say the
So
issue
that's
would
not
be is you're now rejecting the commission, and we sort of
So
had that
it really is
8 years
either
ago.
approve with their recommendation or disapprove their recommendation.
From my position, yes, it is. If you then disapprove, then we could probably say, where do we go from here would be that next step. I don't, we threw out a few, what ifs, but those are just what ifs. Those mean absolutely nothing. But the reality here is either approve or reject. If you reject,
And if we.
Then we go back to the
reject
drawing
this,
board.
Then none of the other elected officials would see that raise either.
I would agree with that, even though you control their salaries. The problem is we, 5-6 years ago, we tied us through our systems, your salaries to their salaries. So to give them any form of an increase is automatically going to. That's why I would also sit here and say, let's say next year the commission meets and the commission says, well, we don't have any recommendation, but you chose to give the independent elected officials an increase. I would have to sit here and advise against that at this point, at that statement time, and say, let's bring in the prosecutor because your salaries are tied directly to their salaries. And so you've sort of created this dependency between the Board of County Commissioners and the independent elected officials. And so before you move on that, we would have to work through that process.
Any other questions for Archie? Comments?
Another question. How many employees for the other elected officials are making more than that elected official?
Well, besides the board, then I know that you have the auditor, where you have the financial, Larry Grove down there. I know when you sit here, and I've not seen the numbers, and the sheriff could comment on this or not, that a deputy or two with overtime and all those have exceeded the sheriff's pay, is my understanding. Out of any other group, I believe also in the treasurer's office, you have the chief deputy there who makes more. So Arnie does. And I believe,
Archie, I think they looked at it, I think they looked at it one time about a year ago, and they looked at the pay list, and with overtime, I think there were 96 county employees that salary exceeded, with overtime, exceeded the commissioners
Yeah.
and other elected
yeah,
officials.
I would sit here just off the cuff, I'd sit here and say there's at least 15 to 20 employees in Lewis County that make more than elected officials do. Pretty much everyone you supervise makes more than you do at your director level. And that's not an uncommon process. And the coroner's office also, because the coroner is part-time and has a full-time chief deputy.
Any other comments or questions? Then I will call for the vote on item number 10, resolution number 14-068. All in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Okay?
2-1. The motion carries. That concludes
Mr. Chair, I see no further business. I move we adjourn.
Second?
Motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. We are adjourned.